A huge Spider-Man launch update, Horizon Burning Shores pre-order details, new info on the upcoming games from Haven and Deviation, Microsoft says Sony can create their Call of Duty, all that and more in today's PlayStation news. Let's get to them. Huge Spider-Man launch update. We're still waiting on new information about Spider-Man 2 with the recent news that the game may have an improved dialogue system, but now actor Tony Todd, who voices Venom, has let some info slip. While replying to a fan on Twitter, he said that it looks like September is the launch month for Spider-Man 2 and that massive publicity will start in August, and that you need to hold your breath for what you are going to see. This appears to be a massive NDA infringement, and I wonder what Insomniac thinks of this post. Regardless, it makes sense for the game to come in September given the first one was very successful while releasing in that month, but there's also the possibility Sony may change plans and launch a bit later. However, it's important to note that the rumored new PS5, not the Pro, but the slimmer one with a detachable disk drive, has been rumored to launch in September as well, so Sony is likely to tie Spider-Man into this launch. When do you think Spider-Man 2 launches this fall? Place your bets in the comments. Horizon Burning Shores pre-order details. Sony has announced the pre-order details for the upcoming Horizon Burning Shores DLC, available this April 19. The expansion sees Aloy pursue a sinister threat in the untamed wilds of a far future volcanic Los Angeles, which has been racked by tectonic activity. Burning Shores goes for $20 and you can pre-order it from the PlayStation Store starting today. Doing so will give you access to the black tie-dye outfit and sharpshot bow, available from the first merchant in the new area. Since the DLC story picks up right after the end of the main story, you must have completed the main quest, including Singularity in Horizon Forbidden West. After that, Aloy receives a call on her focus, which triggers the start of the DLC. Are you looking forward to Horizon Burning Shores? Share with us in the comments. Haven Studios multiplayer update. We have an update on the multiplayer game from Jade Raymond's Haven Studio, acquired by Sony in July last year. Canadian magazine Maclean's published a feature where they rank the top 100 citizens of the country, with one of them being Jade Raymond herself, and the article reveals the multiplayer project is moving from the pre-production to the production phase. PlayStation started a partnership with Haven Studio in 2021, and they were set up and working in record time, which impressed Sony, thus their decision to acquire them. As far as we know, their game is a AAA multiplayer game that connects players in a meaningful way, and is surely part of Sony's plans for 10 games as a service projects by 2026. We move closer to knowing what this project really is, and you have to wonder if it comes too late given the fatigue toward games as a service, or if it has a unique proposition to convince fans. What would you like Haven Studios multiplayer to be? Let us know in the comments. New info on Deviation Games PS5 exclusive. Another company that may be getting ready to unveil its next AAA PS5 exclusive is Deviation Games, a studio formed by ex-Call of Duty developers including veteran Jason Blundell, who left in September last year. There was nothing concrete other than rumblings of the game being probably a multiplayer FPS given the roots, and that remains true, but according to Twitter user Subitech, the game will feature solo and co-op. This comes from Derek Sunshine, design director at the studio, who posted the information on his LinkedIn page. Sony announced the partnership with Deviation Games in June 2021. When do you think they will finally unveil the game? Share with us in the comments. Microsoft says Sony can create their Call of Duty. More documentation from the UK CMA remedies hearing is being made public, and in the most recent, Microsoft has said they believe 10 years to be more than enough for Sony to create a Call of Duty alternative. The 10-year deal they are offering would cover the next console generation, but in reality it will be beyond that, since all Call of Duty games launched on PlayStation until then can continue to be played via backward compatibility. Microsoft also guarantees full Call of Duty parity between PlayStation and Xbox, but they also commit to fully utilize Sony's console, despite a beyond parity obligation not being a thing. That means that even if Call of Duty runs the same on both platforms, it may still use unique PlayStation features such as adaptive triggers and haptic feedback, whereas these are not offered on Xbox. The Redmond company said that regardless of Sony's claims they would lower the game's quality or offer less features on PlayStation, it's in their best interest to release the best version of the game to maximize sales, even if the additional features made the PlayStation version superior, as Microsoft implied. Sony has been very vocal about Call of Duty's importance, bringing to the table a 2019 study that claimed the brand was the only game IP to break into the top 10 of all entertainment brands, alongside Star Wars, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. Plus, they indicated the performance in sales on PlayStation platforms dwarfs any other franchise such as Fortnite, Destiny or any first-party IP. Sony also claimed Microsoft could conspire to make the PlayStation versions of Call of Duty worse by introducing bugs or errors or using the best engineers on the Xbox version. This is a claim that, despite being laughable, has some basis, as we commented in a previous video where Psychonauts 2 was released for PS4, Xbox One and Xbox Series, but not PS5. So the best version of that game is on Xbox. Psychonauts, however, is a much smaller game than Call of Duty. I do believe in Microsoft's commitment toward Call of Duty on PlayStation, given the support they have done with Minecraft, Bethesda games on PlayStation Plus and so on, regardless of not getting Starfield. But they can undersell the value of the Call of Duty IP. Anyone can create a first-person shooter franchise, and Sony could revive several from the PS3 era, but it's not going to be as successful in 10 years. And they have made claims that it doesn't make any sense to take Call of Duty off PlayStation platforms given the success of the IP is being on many platforms, but now they are secretly planning to take it away? But what do you think? Can PlayStation make their own Call of Duty alternative in 10 years? Voice your opinion in the comments. Time for a round of quickfire gaming news. If you had any doubts, The Last of Us co-creator Neil Druckmann has teased that the upcoming Season 2 for the HBO show will indeed cover that divisive character and story event, with a classic poster on Twitter during the first weekend with no episode of the series airing. A reminder that the new PS Plus catalog games are now out, including Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection, Chia, Rainbow Six Extraction, Immortals Phoenix Rising, Ghostwire Tokyo, Life is Strange True Colors and Life is Strange 2, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot but sadly only the PS4 version, Street Fighter V Champions Edition, Untitled Goose Game, Final Fantasy Type O HD, Rage 2, Neo The World Ends With You, and Haven. While classics include Ridge Racer Type 4, Ape Academy 2, and Siphon Filter Dark Mirror. And if you wanted to play Sonic Frontiers before buying, there's a new trial for premium users. Speaking of Sonic Frontiers, its first free update is launching today with new challenge modes, a new photo mode, and a jukebox with access to 53 songs from Sonic's history. 13 of them are available from the start and 40 up to collect through each island. 2 more updates will follow, one of them on June 23rd, and the other doesn't have a release date but will add new story elements and playable characters. Celebrating the 9th anniversary of Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, creator Hideo Kojima has shared an interesting fact on Twitter. The game was apparently an experiment toward episodic format, given the full development of a game takes 4 to 5 years, and also as a way to get feedback on the main game. Ground Zeroes introduced the player's vengeance plot in the main story, with MGS5 being about retribution. From Software and Bandai Namco have shared the gameplay stats for Elden Ring in celebration of the 1-year anniversary of the game. According to the infographic, Malenia is the boss fight with the most attempts, totaling 329 million out of 5.9 billion boss attempts in total. The top reason for death are enemies and NPCs, with the status effects and fall to death very close in second and third. 88% of people prefer to play co-op rather than invade others, and favorite spells and incantations are Rock Sling and the Blessing of the Earth Tree respectively. In related From Software news, the studio appears to be working on their next game after Armored Core 6 since early 2022. This comes from producer and co-director for Armored Core 6, Kenneth Chan, who posted on his LinkedIn profile that he's worked on an unannounced project since January last year. After leaking during the weekend, the LEGO Group has confirmed the announcement of the new LEGO 2K Drive will be happening this March 23rd. The game is apparently in closed beta and will offer an open world to race in several types of vehicles such as cars, boats and planes, with the game being published by 2K Sports and developed in collaboration with Visual Concepts and Sumo Digital. EA has announced it's delisting some of its classics from all digital storefronts, including the PlayStation Store, this April 28. The list includes Battlefield 1943, Battlefield Bad Company and Bad Company 2, and the original Mirror's Edge, all of which were just playable on PS3. EA says it's now looking forward to creating new memories alongside players as they shift their focus to current and new Battlefield experiences. Unclear why the single-player elements of some of these games don't guarantee they remain available, but likely to do with licensing. CD Projekt Red is rumored to be making changes to their Witcher multiplayer game titled Project Sirius. There are not many details, but in a company meeting with investors, they said they are working on formulating a new framework for the Witcher multiplayer, with the developers scrapping the current build and looking for a new one over financial concerns, while a recent job posting for the project teased co-op and PvE modes being considered for the game. Ubisoft is finally bringing the Assassin's Creed series to feudal Japan, and while there are not many details on Assassin's Creed Red, a report from Insider Gaming says the game is already in good shape and will feature a samurai and shinobi as playable characters. Plus, gameplay will focus heavily on stealth, with Ubisoft Quebec looking for it to be similar to a Splinter Cell or Hitman game. Red is scheduled for launch in fall 2024. And those are the PlayStation stories for today. What are your thoughts on them? Share them in the comments below, let me know your feedback by liking or disliking this video, check out other videos you may enjoy while you're here, and consider subscribing for more on PlayStation. Thank you so much for watching, my name is Joseph, this is Hype for Games, and let's get hype!